Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bad Luck Gamer, and we're back with another remaster class. Today we're talking about the Ranger, and if you could already tell by the video, this is going to be a much shorter one. And so I did say I was going to do it yesterday, but in addition to this video, I'm also going to be releasing the Hex Focus Spells videos later today, so you can get all the differences on the Hex spells. So it'll be a good double video day. But let's go ahead and talk about the Ranger. And I think the biggest thing I need to mention with these videos, because people just don't seem to read the title of these videos are on the changes to the classes in the remaster. Now, the remaster encompasses typically the core book and the advanced player's guide from the initial release. So if it's in those two books, that's what's being addressed by the remaster. Anything outside of those books is not being addressed by the remaster, or at least not in the player core or the GM core. And there's a lot that we still don't really know about the remaster, in all honesty. And the Ranger is going to be a really big one. But as far as these videos are concerned, these are only the changes. So if you say, what about this? It probably didn't change, or it didn't change that much. Sometimes I miss some text. If I do, I'll typically pin it in the video, the changes that occur. So that being said, I also want to thank Paizo for delivering to me the player's core and the GM core as a complimentary review copy, as I'm one of the reviewers. But this is not a sponsored video, so all the thoughts and opinions here are my own. So now that we got all the preamble out, let's talk about Ranger. So Ranger got very little changes, which honestly is considered typically a good thing. If something didn't get really many changes in the remaster, it means the class was pretty fine before. And if you're unfamiliar with what the remaster is about, they're pretty much a errata where they're just reprinting essentially the core book and the advanced player's guide for everyone to read and easier. And I can tell you the setup of the books are so much better. It's so much easier to find information and everything's better laid out. And of course, it's a big errata, so there's some things that got changed. Obviously, the Witch got a lot of changes as well. And Ranger didn't, kind of. So let's talk about the actual changes. So none of the core class features, none of the edges or anything got any changes. Their first level feat, Crossbow Ace, got completely reworked though, which is very interesting. So as you can see here, Crossbow Ace now is essentially just a type of reload action. Before, what Crossbow Ace did was increase your damage with crossbows and increase the damage of simple crossbows. But now, with the action you take for Crossbow Ace, you either create a diversion or take cover, then you interact to reload. So it's changed to a reload action, which is an interesting choice, as I believe. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Crossbow Ace now. Crossbow Ace used to be really good. I don't know why it got changed from what it did before. I mean, yeah, because before it just added damage or improved the damage of a simple crossbow. Now, either way. And. So if it was a simple, it got the +2 circumstance bonus damage and increases damage by 1 step. And you got it when you used either your Hunt Prey or you reloaded your crossbow. Now, it's just a reload action. It's a reload action that can create a diversion, which is good if you invested in charisma, or take cover, which is good for ranged attacks. But overall, Crossbow Ace is kind of just not as good, you know? Like, I liked the damage bonus from before. It was nice. It made using crossbows feel a lot better, especially as one of the earlier reload weapons. Especially with guns in the game now, it made crossbows feel a little bit better. Maybe there were some broken crossbow builds that I'm not aware of. I mean, I'm just not the kind of min-maxer style player. So that could have been the reason why I had the change. But in the end, I don't know. I haven't been told anything. I've just had the material here to read. But yeah, so now it's either create a diversion or take cover. and reload as a part of the action. It's good action economy wise, and if you're investing in your charisma, and maybe you're a wits edge hunter or ranger, you can use creative diversion to essentially make it easier to hit the enemy on the next action, which I mean is a good action. I mean, with Crossbow Ace, right? You can start off the round with an unloaded crossbow. You can reload the crossbow, fire the crossbow, and if you use creative diversion, they probably have they're off guard to the attack, and then you can do the action again and take cover. A pretty efficient round where you get to reload your crossbow twice, make an attack, creative diversion, and take cover. Very solid. But I liked the damage more because it made it more appealing to use crossbows as a weapon. Like I said, maybe there was some damage problem, maybe there was some imbalance, I'm not sure, but this is now what we have with Crossbow Ace. Now, also a very interesting thing, and this is either something Paizo's planning on completely removing, or they're planning on reworking them, but snares were removed from essentially the core game, and now the ranger doesn't have any of these snare specific feats. So the list of removed feats from ranger essentially is snare specialist, quick snare, powerful snares, lightning snares, ubiquitous snares, and impossible snares. Now, as what other people have said in my other videos, and obvious, no one watched the pre-remaster release video. The remaster doesn't mean that this is all like forbidden, right? You can go and you can use the old material from the old books as much as you want, and it probably won't interfere with the balance of the game. That's all completely understandable. But what people I think are not understanding is the core release for the remaster is essentially the combined information from both the core book and the advanced player's guide for each of the classes. So I got split up into 2 cores, essentially. So because of that, if these feats don't reappear in another book, which it'd be really weird if Player Core 2 released a bunch of extra stuff for classes in Player Core 1, because then what about all the extra stuff for Player Core 2 classes? I'm not sure. The books, the initial release core and advanced player's guide and GM's guide are no longer being printed. So that being the case, when I say removed, I mean removed. They aren't in the new printings going forward. You can still use them. You can find the information on Archive and Ethos or the like. But yeah, so with all the snares being removed, and the treasure guide and the GM core also doesn't have any snares in it as well. I don't know what this means. I don't know if they're just planning on removing snares in general, or they're planning on doing a rework for them. Who knows? It could come out in Player Core 2. Just no one knows. No one knows but the Paizo staff. So don't blame me. I'm just saying what's not here, and what's not here are snares. So yeah, no more snares. It's interesting. That's actually a lot of feat losses in as well. And Ranger really didn't get many new feats, only like a couple. Though I will make special mention that the Ranger did get a set of Warden spells. There's Initiate Warden, you can select at level 1. There's Advanced Warden, which you can select at level 4. And there's Masterful Warden, you can select at level 6. And these feats are essentially all the Warden spell feats. So more or less how they work, as you can see over here, each one, you can select one of the Warden spells from the list it's found in. And every time you do, you get a new focus point up to a max of 3, and you can select these feats multiple times. I genuinely like this change. It just makes it more compact and less, tedious for players to get through the list. Doesn't bloat out the Ranger section of the book either, especially because they're also going to have a section in the book where these feats can be found. So overall, good design, and it's something that kind of further shrunk the Ranger portion of the book. Speaking on Warden spells, actually, this also means that the Warden's Focus feat at level 12 is boosted like the other classes got, which now it restores all your focus points rather than 2 focus points. So a very good increase, and, you know, it makes the Warden style of play, I think, a lot better for Rangers for sure. This also means that the level 18 feat Warden's Wellspring was removed, which is, again, another good thing because now it is combined essentially with Warden's Focus. So that being the case, an overall improvement and further shrinking of the Ranger section of the book. Now, targeting shot was removed from the game, but that's mostly because it was kind of a nothing feat to begin with. So targeting shot required that you had Hunter's Aim, and Hunter's Aim actually got a slight change because of this as well. And what it did was you ignore the target's concealed condition and all cover. Now, Hunter's Aim, even in the original release of the book, already made you ignore the prey's concealed condition. The only thing it didn't do was the cover. Now, in the remaster, the Hunter's Aim feat, in addition to removing the enemy's concealed condition, also removes lesser cover. So unless the creature is actually taking an action to take cover or gains standard cover in any, or standard or greater cover in any fashion, the Hunter's Aim just works better. It was just a level 14 feat that gave you the ability to remove cover, but this wasn't a very common thing. Lesser cover is something that comes up more often because even your own allies can create cover for enemies depending on the situation and positioning. So with the improved version of Hunter's Aim, just removing that factor, the feat mostly did itself. So targeting shot, I think, was a pretty pointless feat to begin with. The only difference is standard cover and greater cover still provide those even with Hunter's Aim now. So if that's ever a situation, I guess you're SOL, but there's ways to get around that pretty easy. And honestly, I think this is just a good improvement, just making the Hunter's Aim more efficient. Actually, a new feat added to Ranger here in the list of removals. We have Wardens Reload. It's a free action you can do once per round, and it has the prerequisite that your last action or activity this turn was to cast a Warden spell. And so essentially, if your last action was to use a Warden spell, you can reload as a free action, which is really good. There's a lot of situations where I can see this being really handy, and it makes loading weapons a little bit, especially with some of the removal, or not the removal, but the Crossbow Ace being completely changed. This at least helps with crossbows and such a little bit better. And of course, there are some other feats that work with it as well. It's just Warden's Reload is really good if you're also using Warden spells. So if you're using Warden spells and you're using a reloading weapon, this feat's kind of a must-take. Impossible Flurry actually got a improvement. It actually combines the effects of Accurate Flurry and now Impossible Flurry on the first attacks with each of the weapons. Only treats it as if it was your second attack in the multi-attack. So depending on what kind of weapons you are, it's just a complicated feat. So Impossible Flurry before, you made 3 attacks. Well, you had to be dual wielding. You made 3 attacks with each weapon for 6 attacks total, each of them at your maximum multi-attack penalty. Now, your first 2 attacks are at the second step of the multi-attack penalty. So after your first attack, it would have been. And it's a combination. It makes Impossible Flurry just a little bit better, and honestly prevents you from wasting a level 20 feat just for that little bit of efficiency. I like this. I think it's a good call to give players more value in their level 20 feat rather than doing a very minor improvement to a level 18 feat. So yeah, Impossible Flurry gets a buff. That's pretty good. And unlike the Witch video, I'm going to go through the focus spell changes, which there's only one. So yay for me. The only one that changed was Enlarge Animal Companion. Now, rather than being only the level 4 focus spell version, is now a level 2 focus spell that can be heightened to level 4. And now at the level 2 version, you get the effect of the second rank version of the Enlarge spell. And then for the 4th rank version, you get the 4th rank version of the enlarged spell. So yeah, overall, a very like uneventful, like the biggest thing was snare removal. And as with the rogue video with Magic Trickster or Eldritch Trickster being removed, I don't know if they're going to add anything to Player Core 2. You can still use anything removed in the remaster, and it'll still work with the game in general. But the big point is that as far as these books are being printed out, unless they come out in Player Core 2 for some reason, they're just not going to be in print anymore. So make of that what you will. I don't know. I don't know why Paizo has done these changes. So don't ask me. It's not, you know, I only am giving you guys what's found here in the changes of the remaster and to do my best to describe their intents, but, you know, from a ignorant standpoint, since I don't know exactly why they did it. It is what it is. I don't know. I mean, Ranger just got tidied up in a lot of ways. Snares was not a very popular playstyle, but I know there's a bunch of Kobold players out there who are absolutely livid about the removal of snares from these books. Maybe Player Core 2 will add them. I don't know. I would think it would be strange that Player Core 2, which is featuring a bunch of other classes, would include a bunch more stuff from Player Core 1. But maybe they're refining some rules. Maybe that's when they'll add it. Maybe the classes only have very small sections. Who knows? I don't really know. All I'm going to do is report to you what has changed in the remaster. And I'll report everything when Player Core 2 comes out as well. Speaking on, actually, if you've enjoyed this content and you want to see more, no other channel is doing as much of the remaster content as this channel. So that being the case, a subscribe will make it so that you're up to date on the new stuff before it comes out on the 15th, where you can find it on Archive and Nephis and on Path Builder, I'm pretty sure. Other than that, like the video so more people get a chance to see this. I'll see you all later today for the Hex video, where I'll go through all the changes to the Hexes. And yeah, we'll catch up, or we'll start back up again with Druid tomorrow. So that'll be the last class. And then we'll talk about some of the spell changes sometime next week. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Lead a bad luck to me. And I'll see you all tomorrow or later today. Bye.